прям 16. Сука, не поверила, что мне 16. Да, это Москва, и мы умеем отрываться, мы умеем делать звук, мы умеем делать так.
Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Prwell'Z here. I'm back with another Wi-Fi battle. We post wins, loses, draws. This is gonna be a question middle of the video, at the end of the video. So let's get started. Let's go. Looking at my opponent's team, he got a couple of threats there. The Starmie, the Cafable, the Tauros. You know what I mean? It's been a really tough threat in BDSP. But I got a couple of guys here, man. We got the Skarmory, the Lanturn. The Lanturn put in work. We got the Aggron. But let's get started, man. Let's go. And I got a battle against my boy Toby, the Scranton Strangler. But let's get started. So he's gonna lead off with the Raichu, and I go into my my Lanturn. So this is a really good matchup for me because I'm pretty sure I could take almost all Raichu's attacks, unless you got like Focus Blast or something like that. So here, I decided to go for the Whirlpool here, try to trap this thing. But come to find out, this is actually a dual screen Raichu. So he does go for the light screen here, and I hit this thing with a Whirlpool. Just flush him down the toilet, give him the swirly, you know what I mean, bully life. And he's gonna get some residual damage, and that's all we need, you know what I mean? So here, I decided to just go for the Ice Beam here, get some damage, as much damage as I can off this thing. And here, he goes for the Reflect. So I'm like, okay, perfect. So I hit this thing with an Ice Beam, and that doesn't do much damage because the screens is up. But with the Whirlpool, we're doing heaps. We like that. So here, this thing does go for electric attack, and we do have the Volt Switch. So this thing pretty much can't do anything to us. And here, I decided to just go for the Aqua Ring just to get some residual health. And here, I decided to just continue beaming this thing till it goes away. So yeah, so like I said, all four of his moves can't do nothing to this Lanturn. Lanturn's a whole boss. Hit this thing with another Ice Beam, Whirlpool. Ooh. We're doing splendid right now. You know how we get down, man. Giant fish and all. And here, I decided to do another disrespectful move to this thing. And with this absorbing all the electric attacks. That's how we get down, man. Another Ice Beam is gonna take down this Ratatouille face having, and down goes Raichu, man. Let's go. So yeah, he's gonna go into Venomoth. So this is a pretty bad matchup for me because I know this thing like to sport Sleep Powder and all that great stuff. So yeah, I decided to switch out here and go into my Rapidash. Come out here, beautiful, gorgeous. And here the Venomoth is gonna go for Sleep Powder. So I'm like, all right, my Rapidash is asleep, and I know these things like to set up and all that great stuff. So here, I decided to switch out and go into my Aggron, see what this thing's gonna do. So I go into my Aggron, Choice Banded, you know what I mean? And this thing goes for a Quiver Dance. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could take a Bug Buzz from this thing, or a Giga Drain, because that's what Venomoths normally do, you know what I mean? They normally use those moves. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just go for the Rock Slide here. This thing does go for a Bug Buzz. And look at this Bug Buzz. Unbelievable. Look at that damage, man. So I'm assuming this is a tinted lens of Venomoth. I hit this thing with a Rock Slide. It literally lives on 1 health. Literally 1 health. Choice Banded Rock Slide. I was upset. So yeah, this thing is gonna go for a Giga Drain, take out my Aggron, man. Down goes my boy, man. Down goes my guy, man. Sucking the soul out my guy, man. You know what I mean? But anyways, so I'm like, okay, what can we do now? I'm like, you know what? Let's go out to my Frogger, Toxic Croak here, and I know that this thing does have attacking moves, so I'm like, you know what? Let's go for the Sucker Punch. You know what I mean? See what this thing's got to do. And here he decides to switch out, which was a really good play on his spot. And he goes on to Gyarados. So this giant mouth having Pokemon, and I'm like, okay. He knows that I'm carrying Sucker Punch, so that's really bad. But I'm like, you know what? Let's switch out and go into my what are we going to? I believe my Skarmory. So I'm like, okay, let's go Skarmory, and we come out here shining cool. You know what I mean? Yo, Skarmory shine is underrated. And this thing decides to go for a dragon dance. So I don't want this thing to set up on me, and I do have the whirlwind, so I'm like, you know what, all right, then that's fine, that's cool, because next turn I'm gonna hit this thing with a whirlwind. I'm hoping that this thing goes for a dragon dance here, but he's like, nah, let's bring the water to this thing. And he does hit me with a waterfall that does heat to me, but a whirlwind is gonna take it out. And I'm like, dang, let's get Tauros or something. But here he goes right into Starmie. I'm like, this is a really bad matchup for me. So I'm going to eat some leftovers because getting hit with a waterfall does heaps to a brother. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to have to switch out here. But here, he actually makes a really good play. He switches right back into Venomoth. I'm like, that's good. That's really good. And I go into my Lanturn. So my Lanturn come out here looking like a blue goldfish. And I'm like, okay. All right, so this is a bad matchup for me. I have to switch out, and I'm like, you know what? Something's have to go. So I'm like, you know what? Get out of here, Lanturn. I can't have you here. And I decided to go into my Rapidash again. I'm like, you know what? He's got to stay the whole match. So this thing here goes for Giga Drain, and we eat that up. You know what I mean? But Rapidash don't have no type of bulk, and he is gonna get some. He is gonna get some health. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go for the Flare Blitz. I am faster than this thing, but we are sleeping. We're going to need the sleep turns, all that good stuff. And I'm here. This thing goes for a Quiver Dance. I'm like, oh, my God, man. So now Venomoth could be really, really scary. Because now this thing had like 1 health, and now it's like going back to green. I'm not really happy with that. But this thing does go for a Bug Buzz here. I mean, a Giga Drain, and that does heaps to me. However, we still eat that up. You know what I mean? And this thing is now at half health, and we're gonna eat our citrus berries. So we're gonna eat our little berries and all that great stuff because we're getting these ab whippings. And here I get the sleep turn again, man. Unbelievable. So I'm like, okay then. You know what? I can't really do much. Might as well just go for a Flare Blitz. Hopefully, we could take another Giga Drain, but this thing does go for a Bug Buzz. That is stab. That is going to take out my horse, my Epona. And down goes my Rapidash, man. Crazy. So, this Venomoth is a huge threat. So, I have no choice now but to go into my Kadabra. I know this thing does got a Quiver Dance, but I'm hoping I can outspeed this thing and do some damage. So here I decided to go for a Psychic, see if I could take it out. I do go for the Psychic here, and down goes Venomoth. Let's go. So that's a huge threat out the way, and here he decides to go into a Fable. So I'm like, okay, this is a bad matchup for me. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just switch out and go into my my Skarmory. What I want to do is actually it's just to set up hazards. That's it. So if this thing does go for a Moonblast, we're gonna definitely eat that up. And we come out here shining and cool. And here, this thing actually goes for a Calm Mind. I'm like, oh my God. So this thing is much more scarier than it needs to be. And he is gonna get the attack and special attack and special defense raise and all that good stuff. And I'm here, I'm gonna eat some leftovers. So I'm like, okay, what should I do? Because I can't. I want to get rid of this thing, like whirling it out, but I don't want this thing to hit me with like Thunderball, all that good stuff. So here I'm like, you know what, let's go for the Stealth Rock, you know what I mean, to get some residual damage. And here, this thing does hit me with a Thunderbolt, and down goes my Skarmory, man. Crazy. But I'm like, all right, whatever. This gives me a free switching to go into my Toxicroak here, because we are a boss. We are a whole boss. So here, I decided to go for the Sword Dance because I'm pretty sure I could take a Flamethrower or a Thunderbolt from this thing, even a Moonblast. So I'm not really worried about nothing. So I do get my Sword Dance up here, and this thing does hit me with a Moonblast. I'm like, all right, that's cool, bre. That's cool, bre. And that does do heaps to me, but I'm like, that's cool. So here, I decided to go for a Poison Jab. I do go for the Poison Jab here. Do tons of damage. Down goes Clefable. Let's go. So this Chewed Gum is out of here now, and here he decides to go into Gyarados. So Gyarados is gonna get some Stealth Rock damage, and I was hoping that I would be able to take this thing out with Poison Jab, but this thing do get an Intimidate off. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just go for the Poison Jab and see what we can do with this thing. And I do go for the Poison Jab here, and it almost takes it out, but it's like, what's whatever. I was hoping we could get some poison damage, but we don't. And it's like, all right, whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is. So here, I'm like, okay, let's go into my Kadabra. We come out here, cool. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right. I know that he has 2 water Pokemon left, so I decided just to go for the Charge Beam here. And because that's gonna... Excuse me. That's gonna raise my attack and stuff like that. Like, it goes by 50%. I will get attack rates, but I don't get it there. Like, unbelievable. But I'm like, okay, whatever. So here he decides to go into Tauros, and I'm like, oh man, you know what? Let's just go for the Charge Beam here because I am Scarf, and I was hoping that I could do heaps of damage to this thing, so my Lanturn could take it out. We don't do anything, but here we do get the special attack finally, and this thing is gonna hit me with Earthquake, and down goes my Kadabra, man. Crazy. So my Kadabra is down now, and my last Pokemon is my Lanturn. So this is an Orb Tauros too, which is not good for me. So now it's Lanturn against Tauros and Starmie. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just go for the Thunderbolt here. I know it's gonna take it out where it's at. So this thing does hit me with Earthquake, and that does heaps to me. Unbelievable. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I could just hit this thing with a Thunderbolt, and down goes Tauros. Dang. So now this is Lanturn against Starmie. Lanturn against Starmie. Dang. So this is do or die, fellas, ladies and gents. And yeah, his last Pokemon is a Starmie. So I'm like, okay, if this thing has Psychic, then we are done for. But if this thing has like Scald or something, I'm pretty sure we can live it. This thing do go for a Surf here. I'm like, oh, we're gonna eat that up, and we don't. I'm like, man, crazy, man. But that's a good match, you know what I mean? That's a good match, Toby. And question of the day, guys. What are your 3 favorite abilities in Pokemon? What are your 3 favorite abilities in Pokemon? All right, guys. Bye.